Hello, everybody. Live from another gloomy day in Koreatown. It is the Brothers Miller, and this is the Ozone. Unbelievable, LA. What's going on here? Little May Gray, they're calling it. They keep making this stuff up. I've never heard of May Gray before this year.
Really?
No.
May Gray's been around forever.
I know. I guess I've been asleep because, honestly, it's always hot. So I don't know where May Gray would come in. How does May Gray come in when it's a drought?
Well, we always
years on in.
Yeah, but that's because of the smog, pretty much. So you get a
lies. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you didn't come here to hear me talk about the weather. You want to hear me bump my gums about sports, and I'm here for you. It's me, my brother Terry. We're ready to go. How you feeling out there?
Light it up.
You good?
I'm great.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Right on.
Just came from a boxing presser.
Oh, you just came from a presser. Talk to me. What happened at the presser?
Ooh, Charlo is heated. He's
really?
Very, very upset at this opponent that he lost to, and he was very, very animated and aggressive.
And this
is young man.
This is the fight that we saw where we felt like he didn't necessarily lose the fight.
He didn't lose the fight. They did do it. And the other young man, I forgot the young man's last name. Tony, I do believe Tony Anderson, maybe.
Tony Touch. He's a DJ with the beatnuts. Anyways.
But his father is very soft-spoken, just said that they're going to prove that basically it wasn't a fluke. And Jamel said that you needed to enjoy the belt while you can because he's coming to take his belt back.
I heard that. He was upset.
He's very upset.
He was upset in that night.
He was very upset a few minutes ago. As a matter of fact, he's looking for you. Come on in, Jamel.
I hope not. My hip is bunk right now. I got no chance.
Can't roll it over.
Not that I got a great chance when my hip is right, but I'll take my chances.
I was very surprised. He's a very, very big guy. Well, he's not big.
Well, his brother fights at the weight class up. He could easily fight in the middleweights.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Who else? Give me a list. Who was at this conference?
Our guy, Elie Seckbach.
Hey, get your sack back. But I don't mean
Leonard Ellaby, the Watson guys, Derek James.
Are they on? Why does Ellaby there? Is Charlo on Mayweather Promotions?
I think that it might be a cross promotion.
Oh, you know what it is? It's
Premier
because they're
Boxing.
on PBC and Al Heyman / Floyd Mayweather are in cahoots. I don't know if they work with each other or for each other. I don't know how that works, to be honest.
But it was a small presser, and it's going to be on Fox. It's not, pay-per-view or anything like that. And it's on a Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah, not...
They're doing a lot of that lately. They're getting...
I like it. Mix it up.
Yeah. Why not?
And then on this, you're going to see actual fight. You're not going to see guys tippy-toeing around trying to put on a defensive clinic. You're going to see some guys that look like they were very upset with each other because the other kid was actually talking trash.
Well, that leads us to our situation now.
Which is?
The fight that took place this weekend, which, by all accounts, we were really excited for. Danny Jacobs for a world championship for 3 titles on the line against Canelo Alvarez.
Cinnamon.
And the guy with pretty much the biggest contract in all of professional sports, individual sports. And, the fight, I liked the fight. I like the card, I have to say.
You were saying you liked the actual fight that went on.
Hold on. Okay. I like the card because for $10 a month, I'm not mad at that fight.
Right.
Now, had I paid $80 for that card in that fight, I would have been upset.
Well, it's $19.99 now a month.
But I thought you could still get it for $10 if you paid for a year.
Well, yeah, if you pay for a year, but there's still a lot of people who just go for the month. They got to convince people that it's worth it.
Right.
And I don't know if they've done that yet.
Right. They need that Triple G Canelo fight. That's the fight that makes you say, oh,
yeah,
I would have paid a C-note just for this one.
Because if they could have made that Joshua Deontay Wilder happen, then it would have been a lot. You can actually, it's cost effective then. You're saying, hey, I would pay $1.25 to watch them chunk.
I would definitely pay $1.25 for the big boys.
Yeah, and you're talking about one fight compared to doing it for, a whole year for $1.
Right.
You want to do
it? Free tall. And, okay, so let's talk about the action. My man Jojo Diaz was on the undercard, and I like Joe. I like Joseph Diaz Jr. He's on a Golden Boy. He's a Golden Boy boxer. Mm-hmm. And at the presser, actually, he was talking completely crazy with Tevin Farmer, the Philadelphia fighter that I also like in that weight class. Mm-hmm. Now, forever, Tevin has been going after your man, Tank Davis.
Right.
And, they've had altercations and bout shouting bouts in front of fights before, but nothing has ever materialized. I actually think these two are going to end up swinging it and getting busy. Joe had a great showing, and he actually finally got rid of somebody in the mid-rounds, as opposed to normally he seems okay with fighting and continuing like he's trying to get work. This time he wanted to get the fight over with. I do believe he TKO'd the guy in the 7th or something like that. It was a star-studded event. We didn't make it out. We had other plans, but definitely watched on the Zone. You know, Elie's chomping at the bit. Let's get Seckbach in here and speak about the situation.
Hello.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Elie Seckbach from ES News, live reporting from a presser. Same presser that my brother Terry was at. So
first of all, Terry, it was great to see you rolling in with Derrick James like a mega celebrity. I should.
Thank you.
With Charlo. So seconds ago, the press conference ended, and actually, to Charlo's credit, he kept his cool. Because Harrison was drilling and going in hard. Like, you know, when you say your mama jokes, there's always like a limit how far to take it. Harrison had no limits today. He was going in, and he was saying, you lost, accept it, the refs, and you're weak, and just going on and on. And Charlo just smiled and took it. But, you know, like, I know him, that he didn't enjoy it. So I just asked him now. I said, hey, let's say you win by knockout. Do you still shake his hand? He goes, nope, never have. Who will?
So we're in for a real scrap.
Yeah.
When is that fight?
June 23rd, Las Vegas.
I might have to make it out to that
Yeah.
fight. That sounds like some bad blood. I like that
It
bad
is.
blood brewing.
I mean, it was very aggressive. Very aggressive.
It's very bad.
Wow. A lot of people felt like Harrison actually won that fight.
I don't know
Harrison
why.
was the bald cat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't think Harrison won, but that's I don't know.
I didn't feel like
I
he
didn't
won,
feel like
but
he
at
won.
the same time, I didn't, I was surprised. Put it like that. Either way it goes, it's going to make for a great rematch. Now, what we're talking about was the fight the card that took place on the Zone this weekend. I'm assuming you were out there. I didn't see you because I didn't go. Did you make it down to Canelo Jacobs?
I was in Vegas the entire week, and
Wow.
so
Are you
much
okay?
going on. I'm okay, but this week would have been an episode on some reality show because there was so much going on. The night before the fight, almost every boxing legend on the planet was at a WBC event, and I was there.
I heard. I saw some photos.
Yeah, Cotto, everyone.
No, I said I saw some photos. I saw some photos of you and a whole bunch of legends. I saw you with the current WBC champ, the pretty champ that nobody believes is a boxer, Jelena Mrnjenovic. I saw pictures of Jesse Vargas. I saw pictures with Tommy Hitman Hearns. I saw pictures with Vitaly Klitschko came out. Like it was
Big boy.
Man, it was real, huh?
It was real. Now, we all expected, I expected one of those war battles, nose to nose. Like, it was a good fight. I had Canelo winning, but it wasn't the fight I expected. I thought it was going to be like a bloodbath, like, back and forth. But Danny fought smart. He didn't take too many risks. And Canelo, when Danny landed, I think 3 or 4 major shots, took him like nothing.
He felt them. Well, to me, here's my breakdown of the fight. You caught us right at the right time because we were just about to go into it. To me, Danny fought a cautious fight, which was actually not the right fight. And Canelo did a lot with his head movement and so on and so forth that Danny went along with by not changing his pattern. Instead, he tried to change into the southpaw stance and whatnot, and he didn't. I don't think that was the right move.
He didn't throw enough.
He didn't throw enough. It was risk.
And he wasn't aggressive early.
I've spoken to other fighters, and one of the things that stuck out to me, and I spoke to about 3 other fighters, and one of the things that stuck out to me that is absolutely true is Danny didn't fight with the sense of urgency that you would need to fight if you're going to take the face of boxing's belts.
And I spoke to some of the other people in boxing, and they said that was coming from his corner.
That's terrible work by Andre Rozier, if that's the case.
If it's true, that's terrible work. It wasn't any kind of urgency at all.
As bad as and the only thing that I feel like I wasted my time with was watching the fight with the sound on, because Sergio Mora and my man Kenny what's his last name, the SportsCenter announcer. I mean, Ellie, be happy that you were at the fight, because this was pornographic. There was so much of just lust for Canelo in the booth. It was disgusting.
That's what Daniel Cormier was saying, and I just want to say I didn't watch the broadcast, so I can't really comment to specifics.
Yeah.
But he really digged. You saw that, the whole beef there.
I saw it. I was with Danny on that.
And I've been hearing. I'll be honest with you, Brian Kenny, that's his name.
Brian Kenny.
A lot of people have been complaining about the ZONE broadcast from the get-go. The ZONE or something new. They're learning on the job.
Yeah.
there's a lot of things, like people told me they bought it and then they couldn't log on and they complained we can't log on to our account and they contact the Zone and the Zone tells them, okay, someone will get back to you in a couple of days. Ooh. That's not good enough for a day of a fight.
No. And also, I don't even know how that happened because it was free. If you just logged on to the Zone, it was on. If anything, the Zone messed up because it was just airing live for free.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah, when I logged, they didn't ask me to log in. I clicked on the Zone app. And it was on. Now, every single time that I have to click on the Zone, they ask me to put in my password. This time, I just clicked on the Zone, and the fight was on for free.
Maybe somebody logged in.
That's great.
I don't think a hacker just jumped in. But back to the actual nuts and bolts of the fight.
Yeah.
Back to the nuts and bolts of the fight. You know, in all reality, we know good and well that if they, the proverbial they, the corporation, the corporate structure of the world, signs a guy to a massive deal the way that Canelo has signed to a deal, you have to do something extraordinary to get a win over him.
Yeah.
And everybody knows that. Danny spoke about it. I think you might even ask Danny about it prior to the fight. So Danny spoke on it, and then Danny went in there and acted like there was absolutely no urgency or need for him to press the issue.
That might happen. Look, you play baseball, Big O, so you perform like you're used to. You don't. Yeah. I know what you're saying. I hear you.
Yeah.
But if that's how because Danny fought Triple G the same way. Sure, maybe he thought that was good enough.
And it's not good enough. This is the issue.
He should have learned from that mistake that he made in the past.
And Danny's my guy. Danny is in my phone. I love Danny, and I've been riding with Danny on this fight for like 2 years. Everybody that listens to the podcast has heard me say that I felt like Danny Jacobs actually had a better chance physically to beat Canelo than even Gennady. But Danny,
no, you told me that personally before the fight.
Yeah,
we talked last time.
And I don't know why he wouldn't really use the advantages that he had for a risk assessment of potentially, getting hurt. The problem that I have with this fight, and I actually think Golovkin is right here when they asked him afterwards. Obviously, G is doing a bit of self-promotion when he said the fight was boring. But
like a sparring match.
But he was right in the sense that neither guy took any risks.
Right.
We're not paying to watch guys fight, even if we're only paying $20 a month. We're not paying to watch guys fight to not have action.
To not engage.
We're paying for big drama show.
And that's what you get with Triple G.
There's so much. No, it's true, but there's so much that goes into that. Well, first of all, look, the money they were making was insane. And this is where the psychology comes in. You're making so much money. Why take a risk?
I know what you're saying. Money. I know what you're saying. I agree with what you're saying. You're making $10 million. $10 million is more money than you've ever made, more money than you've ever had. And then one thing, human nature would make you say, I want to enjoy my $10 million.
But it was like Hagler used to say, you're sleeping in silk sheets.
And I don't want to be embarrassed. I don't want to take a risk.
This to me is what it's about. So, that's to me is what it's about. And it's not just Danny. Canelo didn't do anything special, despite what they would lead you to believe. I didn't see Canelo do anything special. He had a couple great head movement, swim and bobs and whatnot that were nice, but I didn't see anything spectacular from Canelo. I actually saw a regression, to be honest. I thought the way that he fought Triple G the last fight was way more impressive than this fight against Danny Jacobs because he went back to one-punch Canelo. Mm-hmm. He would land one punch, one accurate punch, and then do nothing. One accurate punch, and then do nothing.
Well, you know what? And the fight depends on the action that his opponent puts out because he's a counterpuncher.
Yes.
So if Danny is not being aggressive, then it's automatically going to hurt the fight.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I heard two people say the same thing you just said. Ben, the coach of Tyson Fury, he said that, I'm sorry to be the spoiler, but the fight wasn't all that. And Joel Diaz, the coach, I talked to him after the fight, and he said this fight wasn't all that. But most people, if you look at people who are not experts or not into it, they may have enjoyed the fight because they saw something different from Canelo versus the come forward swinging. And he did show good head movement, but maybe he just figured out Danny's rhythm. So
that's what it looked like. That's what it looked like to me. And Danny never made an adjustment on his rhythm.
But then you saw later in the fight, Danny imposed himself on him.
Which is why not do that from the word go?
There was nothing that Canelo could do.
Except for take punches. Exactly. So then everybody could say, like Elie just said, oh, well, he took his punches well.
Right.
Yeah, but that's because he is a professional. He is a good fighter so that he's not going to show you when he's hurt unless he's like really, really hurt.
Right.
And honestly, Danny had him in trouble late. Danny hit him with 45 seconds to go. I think it was round 7.
think he went body, head.
He went body, head, and Canelo didn't throw another punch for the round, and Danny let him breathe.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. Maybe it was round six or seven.
But here's the thing. There were 20,000 plus 20,200 people in the arena, which is a big success because the whole week Vegas was kind of slow.
This is what I was saying. Now I heard that they shrunk the press section for more floor seats. Is that true?
I don't think so.
No?
Because, let me rephrase that. They did have 4 rows for the press. Then they had floor seats, but then they put the press, like in the NBA, the press sits in the first block of the next aisle. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So they just moved the press into the cheaper seats, not because they're not cheap, cheaper seats than the floor. So,
as opposed to like most of the fights, you guys are just on the floor. Basically, you got a great view of the fight on the sleeve.
Correct, and that's okay. Listen. I love boxing, so it doesn't matter if I'm so high that I can touch the ceiling or I'm on the floor. I'm just happy I'm in the building. The undercard was very impressive.
So this is what I want to talk to you about. Okay, lay your breakdown. Break it down.
Virgil Ortiz, 12-0, 12 knockouts, comes into the fight. He's not known to the masses yet, but this kid used to train with Earl Spence when he was a young kid. He's from Dallas, extremely talented. I've seen him spar Mikey Garcia. I've seen him spar Josito Lopez. I've seen him spar guys that are 154, 160, 168, and he does great.
Wow.
So
I like
Mauricio
that kid.
Herrera, and you know what? He plays the piano. He plays the guitar, self-taught. He told me he can't afford a piano teacher, so maybe after this he can afford one. But he reads books. He's just a different kind of athlete. For a boxer, most boxers don't read books. That's not their thing, you know. So he's a phenomenal athlete, and I'm saying he's supposed to headline maybe his next fight and maybe fight for the title at 140 because this was a 47. But if you saw when he hit Mauricio Herrera and he knocked him out, he just froze like he was made out of ice, and the ref jumped in and caught him. We haven't seen that in years.
Yeah, and he might have really helped him because he helped him from hitting his head that way.
Yeah, that was a shot.
Yeah, of course. And he's a force to be reckoned with, and he's only with 13 fights in. What I thought was interesting, too, was...
Jojo Diaz?
Jojo Diaz, he was supposed to win that fight, and he did win, and now he and Tevin Farmer are going nose to nose.
And this is what we were talking about. This is what we were talking about right before we called, is that, you know what? It's funny because Tevin's been chasing Tank down for so long, and Tevin is a hungry fighter. He's a tough dude. The guy got shot. The guy has a bunk eye, and he's relentless. And I have a lot of respect for Tevin. I like JoJo a lot as a fighter, and they got into it. Were you there when they got into it?
I just left the room, but I caught up with them 5 minutes after once I saw the clips.
Okay.
And Tevin told me that he was doing an interview, and someone said Jojo Diaz was disrespecting you, or he's right here in the room. So Tevin's from Philly. He doesn't hold back, and he's good in marketing. Because a little clip of him yelling at JoJo will get many more views than him just, saying, oh, I want to fight this and that.
Right.
And he already did it once with Tank. Similar. And that video has half. Yeah. So he went up to JoJo, and JoJo and his manager thought it was all fun and games. Like, they put a hand on him. Like, they thought it was a casual encounter. But Tevin's too savvy. He's media savvy. So take your hands off me, and F this, F that. Let's get down. So he may have just created a fight for himself. But he also knows that JoJo's a 126-pounder moving up to 130,
right,
where Tevin's been a 130 his whole career.
Right. It's going to be a good fight, and if they make that fight. But at least there'll be some more action, and that could potentially put things in line for Farmer and Davis, potentially.
Mm-hmm.
No, absolutely. And look, we all want to see Davis and Farmer. I don't think that's going to happen. It just seems like boxing is 5 different, dragons. They're not on the same pace. They're not on the same page. It's each one's going their own route. If Eddie Hearn and DAZN, they'll go one way. It's like Crawford. I'm sure he would love to fight Spence. I'm sure he would love to fight Manny, love to fight Thurman and Porter. But why would one side give in to the other? I wish they did, but they won't. It's a business.
Right.
So
there's not any incentive, even though Terrence is going to have to fight bums.
Right.
Which is not going to help him.
And win. And get paid, and this is what I thought so interesting. Normally at a big fight in Vegas, and you guys have been to the big fights, ESPN set up like 2 studios in a media center, one for English, one for Spanish. But because ESPN have ESPN Plus now, they're not there to promote DAZN, so they only had one print guy. versus like the massive armies that they usually send.
Oh, wow. I didn't think about those kind of repercussions from the stables.
Yes. So now Top Rank is on ESPN. They have their own card, 10,000 people in Stockton on the same night of Canelo Jacobs. Neither of them are pay-per-view, but both of them are on apps. So, yes, Canelo's the bigger name, but still they got 10,000 asses in seats, which is impressive.
Right.
So it just made me think, like, wow, boxing is changing so much because if you don't know about the zone, you're not hearing about it on ESPN, where normally if ESPN didn't have their own app, they would promote this fight and promote the zone.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a good point.
But I think the zone are trying. I think Eddie Hearn is really trying. But it's an uphill battle. It's hard.
I haven't met Eddie Hearn yet, but the more that I listen to Eddie
very
Hearn,
nice
the more
guy,
I like
very
him.
charming.
Yeah, but he comes off as transparent as you can expect for a boxing promoter.
Right.
You know what I mean? He comes off like he doesn't script answers or anything like that. He shoots from the hip. People like you grab him and he'll spit. He'll spit. You know, even after this fight, he was like, "Oh, what can we do?" I mean, he's like a young Bob Arum. He's like, "Yeah, you know, but." The general consensus is that the right guy got the decision, you know, and then Danny's his guy. What's he supposed to say? That's you know.
Exactly. No, but what I like is many times I ask people, fighters, trainers, promoters, managers, a question, and they'll give me the PC answer.
I don't get that from Eddie.
Won't offend anyone. No, he wears the emotion on his sleeves, and if it's something that's on his mind, he will say it, which I appreciate, and I like it because it's better when someone.
It comes off like he's a fan. And that's the thing I like, you know.
Right.
He comes off like he's just a fan, but he also happens to have skin in the game. And so now,
and he also happens to have $1 billion to play with,
which is a lot of skin. he's 600-pound life. So with that, go ahead, brother. Break it down.
Okay, so there's so much boxing coming up. It's insane.
This is where I was going.
And I've been covering boxing for 11 years. We have this weekend you have Jared Hurd fighting J-Rock. Interesting fight, but I'm favoring Jared Hurd.
I always favored Jared Hurd at 154. I love Jared Hurd at 154, to be honest.
He's a monster.
He's a monster.
Then a week after that, you have Wilder, Brazil. Wilder should knock him out ugly, and then it's going to be ugly because they have real beef, genuine beef.
If he's not
a week
sloppy.
after that, Joshua. If he's that's true. But Dominic Brazil gets dropped every fight. If Wilder drops him, he's not getting up like that.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And then you have in the first you have what's his name fighting Anthony Joshua. Don't forget
Ruiz.
Oh, that's a very interesting fight. Ruiz could shock the world in that one. I would put it like this: if he wins, I wouldn't be shocked.
Ruiz is getting knocked out, in my opinion. Even though
my thing of it is that anytime you take a impromptu fight like this, it's always dangerous.
It's a banana peel.
Yeah,
for sure.
Because you haven't got a chance to get prepared like you should against a specific style or anything. And this guy is getting a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and you don't know how hungry he is to take advantage of that.
And how he's speaking, he sounds very hungry.
Yeah.
Very, very hungry.
And he's supposed to have a little thump, right?
Yeah, he's a heavyweight.
He has very, very fast hands. He has a lot of power. He's short. That's his big disadvantage. If Joshua can keep him out with the reach, it's going to be a long night for Andy Ruiz.
Or a short night for Andy Ruiz.
Or a short night. And the thing is, he doesn't look in shape. Like, the belly's hanging over the trunks. And he's always been like that. He's like a little skinny guy hiding inside a big guy.
Right.
But he has nothing to lose. What does he have to lose over here? This is
I agree.
Fell in his lap.
Now let's talk about the fight that you skipped over on the date that had to end, unfortunately, which is Usyk's debut at heavyweight versus Takam.
Correct.
I hate that happened.
Usyk has a bicep. Correct. He has a bicep injury. This is one of the reasons that corporate America doesn't get involved in the boxing business because of this. Not Usyk's fault, I'm just saying. But if corporate America sponsored a fight, which is Usyk against Joshua, right? And they put the posters and they buy the plastic cups, and then the fight falls through, they can't replace the main event. If
no way.
Yeah.
DeMar DeRozan is injured.
The fight, the game is still happening. Yeah, exactly.
Correct. But here it's based on individuals. So it sucks when it happens because now it takes away a lot from. We all wanted to see how Usyk does in the heavyweight.
Right. And now they're going fast forward. Now, to side note, they're going fast forward and talking straight away about Usyk versus Anthony Joshua.
Are they?
Yeah. Anthony Joshua said, "I have no problems fighting Usyk." He came out and said that, and of course he doesn't because at heavyweight,
of course he doesn't.
He needs to, Usyk needs to get his
palate wet.
Yeah, he got to dip his toe, brother. He's got tremendous skill. He just got to get together. And Tacama's a great first fight for him.
I'm going to surprise you guys. Do you guys know who beat Usyk in the amateurs?
Sean Porter.
That is true. Sean Porter. That is correct.
Hey.
Remember I told you.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah, you won. But here's the thing. Coming off an injury is never good to face the best in your division.
No.
Not even, look, when Thurman fought Josito Lopez, he came off a 2-year layoff coming off a hand injury.
And he looked terrible.
I don't know that. And he looked terrible, but he pulled it off.
He got it done.
So,
yeah.
Usyk, if Usyk comes to fight Joshua, he has to be 1,000%, and it's a new division, and the power of Joshua may not be like the cruiserweights.
No, it's not.
But then
No,
again,
it's not.
Joshua to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but Joshua to me doesn't look like the same Joshua of 2 years ago. He looks like he slowed down a lot. Is it the money? Is it the competition?
You know what it is?
I
I don't think he slowed down a lot. I think that what's happened is kind of what when we had the Bronze Bomber on, when we had Deontay Wilder on, we talked to him about this. Anthony Joshua never gets to fight.
Yeah.
You have to do whatever it is that you're great at to stay great at it. And Anthony Joshua, the last time we saw him fight was what, October? Something like that?
Yeah.
And then
Yes.
and now he has a fight in October, then he's supposed to have a fight in April. That doesn't materialize, so he makes it in June. Then the guy find out he doesn't have any blood plasma in his blood, it's all juice. And so now he's finally going to fight again. You can't be great fighting once a year. It doesn't work.
And if anybody's going to
Correct.
get you, it should be at this time.
That's exactly it. Which is why I actually am not mad at Tyson Fury taking whatever fight it is that he's taking.
To tune up.
Yeah, because he's still getting his body back acclimated to losing all the weight and so on and so forth. He needs frequency.
Well, I have a problem, too, because what they do is that they always think that the champions should fight championship caliber. You know, you shouldn't have to fight the number 1 and 2 every time you fight. You never give the other guys opportunity. They're in the lower ranks. You should give everybody an opportunity, not just the ones that are in the ranking.
Well, I agree with that if it comes to a situation where we're talking about gap fights, where we're talking about fights maybe that you take every 3 months or something like that. But if we're talking about the marquee fights selling out Wembley Stadium, you know what? I want to see you fight the top guys.
Well, and then when you talk about Usyk, though, Usyk is jumping up in front of all of the other guys who have been waiting in line to fight him.
Well, no, it's not like the fight is set in stone. Usyk's bicep is messed up. We don't even know when it's going to happen.
When he comes back, though, right?
Right, but that's boxing, because I've said that many times, Terry, what you just brought up, where how does a fighter who was the man at 30 become the mandatory at 35 when he hasn't fought at that division once? But it happens a lot.
Yeah.
Just happened with Loma and Jorge Linares.
Yeah.
Loma, Linares, even when Crawford moved up from 140, he became the number 1 guy at 47. He's a great fighter. He's pound for pound, but it happens. So does it happen with Usyk as well? Probably, just because he was the man at cruiserweight and he has all the belts and all the championships.
I think.
But it's interesting. And I'm sorry?
No, I think you're going to see a situation like Errol's fighting Mikey Garcia in the situation with Anthony fighting Usyk. Because you're talking about a guy that's
probably
a lot bigger.
Yeah, but we're talking way down the road. If you have a bicep injury, it takes a while for your bicep to heal. And we'll see what happens with Anthony Joshua. The reason I brought it up is because the writers posed a question to Anthony Joshua, to which he responded, no problem. So I don't think it merits a long conversation about whether or not Usyk should fight Anthony Joshua. There's plenty of guys who are in line that do have a name that should fight Anthony Joshua, but the stables of boxing once again are getting involved, and it's causing a nightmare. Now, one thing I want to talk to you about, Elie, is what do you think about our guy Rougarou? He's waiting for the winner of this fight later this month. You skipped over that fight for that series, for that 140 series. I actually think Rougarou is a very, very formidable opponent to anybody that wants to fight anywhere near 140.
I would say this. Rigor's progress is probably the biggest secret in boxing.
This is how I feel.
The world doesn't know how talented he is. And not only that, but he does so much in the community. He gets out. He does.
No doubt.
He's stuck in New Orleans, but we don't have cameras there. And I wish they had cameras on him and he would share the videos with the world. But we see little snippets. He's extremely talented, great personality, is not afraid of anyone, anywhere. But again, he has to win the title, win this tournament, which I think he does, but it's not easy. His next fight, very tough one. I think it's Josh Kelly, correct?
Well, he's got to win. That's the thing. We have to see. I think his fight is May 18th.
Yeah, I think it's 2 more weeks, right?
Yeah. Because he won the semifinal, so he's waiting on the winner of that fight in the semifinal. I think, what's that? Who is he?
Yeah, I'm sure he's going to fight Kelly. Very, very tough fight. Tall, hits hard. I think southpaw. But he could win. And look, he's not young. He looks young. He looks like early 20s, but he's more like late 20s, maybe early 30s. He's ready. He's been ready. So he wins the title. Then he gets a Jose Ramirez. Then he gets like the monsters of 140. And he gets the opportunity. In life, you just want the opportunity. Just give me the shot. Put me in the game.
Right.
But I really like him as a person, too, because some fighters, look, you can win a title or do good in boxing, but stay anonymous your whole life because you don't put your footprint down. He's one of the people that's making a footprint, that's making himself slowly noticeable. And I like when fighters give back and go talk to kids and give out turkeys and do all stuff. Like in Houston, when they had the floods, he was helping rescue people, stuff that nobody knows about, you know?
No, he's a solid dude, man. And then, you know what? He's down with that same group. He's down with the Charlos and Earl and all those guys. They're all friends, and it has a lot to do with Houston because when Hurricane Katrina hit, I do believe he had to bounce and raise up out of New Orleans, and he went and set up shop in Houston. That's how they all know each other.
Correct. That is very true. And look, Derek James is a great trainer. I was standing, Lennox Lewis came up to him this week and told him, "You're the best trainer in boxing." So I really respect Derek James. I think he's
Josh Taylor, not Josh Kelly. Josh Taylor was bothering me. Josh Taylor, not Josh
Kelly.
Kelly.
Sorry. You know who he looks like? You guys ever seen the movie Me, Myself, and Irene?
Yeah.
He looks just like Jim Carrey when he was evil Jim Carrey. I told him that. He was laughing. I forgot the name of the character, but that's how he looks. But he could fight. The kid's legit. Because many times fighters in the UK, it's like a fighter that comes from Iowa or a small state here in the U.S. where their competition wasn't very good, so they were dominating. So if you dominate in the UK, doesn't mean you always dominate worldwide. But this kid could actually, he's legit as they come. He's been working hard for years. He knocks people out. He's tall. He's rangy.
Yep. And they're talking now about Canelo fighting another great British champion, to be honest, because they're talking about him going to the real belt holder at 168, and I don't think he wants to fight Callum Smith, to be honest. That kid can fight.
I don't think – no, that kid can't fight, and that's a tough test.
That's a tough test. The guy's 6'3", and he's not 6'3", Rocky Fielding 6'3". He's 6'3", and he's comfortable with himself. And I read something he said today. He said, "Listen, I rate Canelo as high as anybody does." He goes, "I just think he's a middleweight." He goes, "I don't." He goes, "I would love to." He goes, "I'll take the fight today." He said, "But I don't think that I don't think that that's really." I rate him. He said, "I rate Lomachenko too." He said, "But I don't think Lomachenko can go fight at 47." You know.
No, he can't. He can't even fight at 40.
No, which isn't bad. Right. It's just that, you're the weight that you are. He's dominant at 130. We can say that. And he put on a great show at 135. Yeah, he put on a show at 135. Exactly. I would take him over Robert Easter. How about that?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no. Loma's extremely talented. He's up there, like they say, long in the tooth. So we'll see how much he has left in the tank, but he's incredible. We only got to see him towards the tail end of his career because, the what is it, 2 Olympic gold medals or 3?
I think it was 2, but I hear what you're saying. You got to start getting busy. If you pick up 2 Olympic medals, how many times are you going to stay in the Olympics? I guess it's go time. We got to get paid. What are we doing?
And 12 out of his 13 pro fights, or 13 out of 14 pro fights were championship fights, which were not easy. So he makes it look easy. You remember he made 4 people quit in a row, including Rigondeaux. And now Rigondeaux's back. He's fighting on the Charlo Harrison card.
Yeah,
but Loma's something special.
Rigondeaux, I was very disappointed in Rigondeaux, and also he was 122, but one max, and he showed up fighting at 130, and it wasn't right.
That's true. Plus, he didn't have to go camp. He just wanted the paycheck. There was a lot that went wrong. But
I was very disappointed, and honestly, I'm not going to watch another fight of his because of that, because of the way that
was. Yeah, well, he's never been the most exciting. He was just very decorated. Right. I remember he had a fight once where he didn't throw like 5 punches the whole fight, and he still won.
Wow.
And people were mad at him.
Yeah, he had that tremendous, and he was another Olympic champ, but, obviously he was in a special situation when it came to Cuba. All right, Seckbach, what else do you got for us? You got anything else to add, news and notes?
Okay,
we're going to move on.
I'll tell you really quick. I talked to Errol Spence this week. I talked to Sean Porter. Errol Spence and everybody around them, sparring partners, the Charlo today, he will knock out Porter. That's what they're telling me. Sean Porter says, I hope he tries. I'm ready. I'm down. So that's going to be a very interesting fight.
I haven't seen Sean get knocked out, so I'm very interested to see it if that's what they think is going down.
That's what they're predicting. Then you have Manny Pacquiao going to fight Keith Thurman.
And
Manny looked great his last fight. Keith Thurman won his last fight, but he didn't look great.
I'm taking Pacquiao.
Yeah, I'm taking Pacquiao in that fight, but now they're saying that, I don't know if the deal is done because they're saying Manny's back to being a politician again. So he has to do his, he's got to do his thing.
He's running for office. He's running for a second term in the Senate. He wants to be president. But Manny's always done both. Maybe it's part of negotiations. But I don't see when did his job in politics ever interfere with the boxing? He's always done it.
Only time I've ever seen it interfere potentially is when he fought Jeff Horn. Because he went down there and he looked like he didn't have the eye of the tiger, meaning he didn't want to. He looked to the ref to stop the fight instead of him stopping the fight.
Yeah.
And then they ended up robbing him of his belt because of that. That's the only time that I felt like it was.
Gentlemen.
I agree. Listen, I'm Team Pac all day long. I love the Pac-Man. But and also Father Time is undefeated. So we'll see what happens there. Seckbach, I appreciate you calling in. Got to get together with you face to face sometime. And maybe in New York. They got to get a good New York fight since it's thawed out there. I'm ready to ride out. Ready to go east.
All right, everybody, make sure to check out the OZONE.
Appreciate you.
All right, Elie. Reporting.
Thank you so much. Reporting.
All right,
see you later, man.
Late.
Yeah, somewhat disappointing fight this weekend in the sense that you want guys to fight the way you want them to fight, but at the end of the day, it's everybody's own choice how they do it.
I think that one of the problems was that we had conversations with Danny before, and he sort of sold us that he was.
I agree.
He was going to do.
He's going to impose himself on the smaller man, and instead he seemed as though he decided that the smaller man could have a lot of respect from him.
Right.
And I don't feel like it was necessary. But moving on, let's get to the NBA because we're now deep into the playoffs, and those playoffs are now getting interesting. Even though I will say guys are looking very tired, and that tiredness and fatigue can have a lot to do with the fact that the first round is too damn long, besides the season being long already. News and notes on that real quick. I was just reading. I was surprised to hear this, but we'd spoken to some surgeons in the past who said that you'd be amazed at how many off-season surgeries that athletes have that never get reported. They're reporting a couple surgeries from the Oklahoma City Thunder. And they said that Paul George and Russell Westbrook had surgery on Tuesday in Los Angeles. George had a partially torn tendon in his right shoulder repaired. And he's also going to have surgery on a small labrum tear in his left shoulder. So his shoulders are giving him problems. And Danger Russell Westbrook had a torn ligament in his left finger. And he had an arthroscopic procedure on his right knee. Man, professional sports are tough on your body, Jack. And you really got to take care of yourself. Even when you're taking care of yourself, you get served up.
Right. It's high maintenance.
It's high maintenance. But talking about the game, let's talk about where I was wrong. And it looks like I was completely wrong about the Boston Celtics. The Milwaukee Bucks seemed to rally around Giannis Antetokounmpo, which is what I was always concerned with because himself has an air of dominance that is undeniable. But you need help in this league. And in the first two games, it didn't seem like the team was giving him much help.
I think they gave him help in the second game.
They gave him help in the second game. Yeah, but it's grown exponentially since then.
Well, that's the confidence because none of them had been there before. So now they're in a situation where they're feeling comfortable, and you can see that the lights might have been a little too bright in the first game, but after that first game, it was go time. I mean, they
did have the best record, so it's not like
and
this
the best
should be much of a surprise.
Yeah, and the second highest 3-point, I do believe, in the league. And, you watch it, he breaks down the defense. He penetrates. He's always going to the cup or to the rack or whatever you want to call it. The defense collapses on him, and he kicks the ball out. And if you don't collapse on him, he can do a circus 360 dunk. So
it's in the game.
In the game.
In the game. Something outrageous in the game. Well, they're looking like they're cruising along. But where I was right was the other series in the East because the uber-talented Philadelphia 76ers are finding a way to lose, as predicted and as expected. What in the hell is going on? Why would Joel Embiid ever have less than 10 points in a basketball game? And I don't care if we're playing at the park or if we're playing in the. It's
supposed to be some kind of illness or something, and I have a hard time believing it. But that's what they're putting it on, and they're talking about he's supposed to be suspect for the next game because of an illness. I don't know what he has, but whatever it is, a 7-footer should always have more than 10 points, even if you're on the bench. They should just throw you 10.
They should just throw you 10. Just
give him a dime.
Close to the basket.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, no, I'm really disappointed. Now, Kawhi Leonard is playing great. Max Kellerman has caught the ire of a lot of fans by saying that Kawhi Leonard is more clutch than Kobe Bryant.
Well, the numbers actually say that he is. That's, I think I sent you the.
Yeah, you sent me the link.
And the numbers actually say that Kawhi is more clutch. But then we always get caught up in the moment.
Yep.
Because the eras are different, the game of play, the style of play is different rules and everything else. Now, Kawhi was sort of closer to Kobe, as far as in that era. But, I mean, it all matters what kind of game you want. Kobe is a quantity type shooter or whatever, and Kawhi
he's also a ball dominant guy. Kobe Bryant is going to. There is no doubt who's taking the last shot.
Right. Well, Kawhi is the same.
Good basketball play or not, Kobe Bryant's taking the last shot.
Yeah, but Kawhi is sort of the same way, except he's more of the Clark Kent instead of the Superman.
Yeah, that's a great analogy.
And so he's willing to go out there and do that and be that without the flash and dash and everything. So he takes his shots, but he does them without the fanfare a lot of times, and he hasn't been in the major market like
right.
Kobe.
And he has performed. So there's only one time that I can remember Kawhi not performing at the highest level, and that was only, I would say, because he was young. Mm-hmm. If you remember that game where Ray Allen hit the big three when they were with Miami, when they played Miami in Game 6, and they should have won that game. Kawhi had a great game, but he ended up missing 2 free throws late in that game, right before Ray Allen hit that three. And I want to say that's the only time that I can actually remember him not being up to code.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, there's nothing wrong. You can take either one of them, and you're not going to lose with it.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
Me, myself, I would take Kawhi because I don't want my guy to be a ball hog like that. I want my guy to get everybody involved, and you can win the right way. But Kawhi also hasn't been surrounded with the talent that Kobe has. Not quite. No.
No, stop it. Don't say that. Because when Kawhi Leonard first came up, he still had a prime Tim Duncan.
Yeah, but he wasn't the man. I'm talking about when he was the man. He hasn't been the man with prime rib.
Well,
with surf and turf.
I need some right now.
Surf and turf.
Vegas is calling me. But there's the other side of that as well. I hear what you're saying, but I think that to Kobe's defense, that Kobe Bryant, to a certain degree, made himself the man. Those Laker teams were stacked with talent.
Yes.
Stacked.
Stacked.
But we also, I think this conversation, soup to nuts, this conversation lends itself to being a prisoner of the moment because the image of Kobe everybody has is a 60-point farewell where he wasn't moving right. If you go back and you look at highlights, you're hard-pressed to choose somebody over Kobe Bryant athletically. And I get what Kawhi is doing, and I'm a fan of Kawhi Leonard. I personally really do like my superstar to be dominant. I like my superstar to be...
Kawhi is dominant.
No, I vocally dominant, physically dominant. I like, you know what I mean? I like the whole nine.
Run your big center out of the league dominant?
I don't need that. And he didn't run the big center out the league. He
out the city.
Out the city. But he
well,
didn't run him
same
out the
thing
league.
then. You ran him out the...
Yeah, you can't run the Diesel out the league.
Yeah.
Only the torn Achilles ran Diesel out the league.
Are you sure?
Positive. Barbecue chicken. You want to talk about who I'm going to choose between Kawhi and Kobe Bryant? I'm choosing Shaq. So it's over. But it looks like they're going to move on. And you know what? Your man Kyle Lowry is finally starting to play. It seems like he started to listen to everybody saying that he was not getting it done. And he showed up the last few games. I'm sure Joel Embiid doesn't appreciate his man Drake mocking him and his dunks and his post-dunk celebrations.
I can't believe that Drake would mock anybody athletically.
I'm just saying what's happening, bruh. Then on top of that, we're moving to the next series where we got the Denver Nuggets are on the verge of closing out the Portland Trailblazers. It seems as though that 4 overtime game took more out of the Blazers than it did out of the Nuggets.
Right.
And I think that's because they're more reliant on one to two guys.
Yeah. And it comes down to depth.
It comes down to depth.
I mean, and Denver has depth, and
Jamal Murray's a little bit younger.
Yeah.
And his bounce back. You could see in the next game, Jamal Murray wasn't the same. Mm-hmm. But now in the game that was last night, Jamal Murray's like, what for an OT game? I'm a young man. I'm back.
I think that they all can come back from it. I think one of the problems is that what you're talking about is you have to rely on Damian Lillard, who's a small guy. It's more imposing on him than it would be for the big guy who can actually go down in the post and you can
Worst case scenario, I can try to bully back to the basket. I can get as close to the basket as possible.
That's why it's sort of unacceptable for Joel Embiid to have 10 points
yes,
that's also due to the style of play.
This is the new style.
New
school.
Because if we go and stay in the post or attacking the basket, then it's a completely different game. You're talking about all these other guys are least or less effective. Look at Al Horford. One of the reasons why Giannis is way more effective is because Al Horford is out there shooting threes. And Al Horford is shooting out. If he's out there shooting threes, that means most of the time he's going to be on the perimeter instead of inside the paint where you need the big man. You need the big man to be inside the paint or around the basket to defend. But he's not there because everybody's playing.
Well, that's on a different side of the ball.
Yeah, but that's on a different side of the ball. But it's still, everybody's playing everybody for the perimeter because the 3-point game is taking over.
It's taking over. And it's not as effective.
Yeah, so now everybody, when somebody is attacking the basket, which they used to do back in the day, I know it sounds like you're going back to the good old days, but it's effective.
Which is what Giannis does.
Yeah, which is what Giannis does.
Which is why he can get open threes because everybody's so scared of that first step, which he only needs 2 to get to the rim.
Exactly.
If that. He might only need 1 in certain scenarios. And so, I anticipate Portland gets 1 more. I actually think Portland's going to get 1 more.
You think so? I think it would be dangerous for Denver if they get 1 more. I think
it is too. But I think that Denver wins. Denver was actually one of the best teams in basketball the whole season.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to win this series. They might close them out.
They got a dominant big man once again.
There you go. And which leads us to the series that's the Jumper Fest, which is the Warriors versus the Rockets.
Can somebody put the Houston Rockets out of their misery?
I thought Kevin Durant was going to do it because he had a good look at that shot at the top of the key to tie the game to send it to OT. I just feel like you just need to put pressure on the Rockets. In the same way that I feel like if you put pressure on the Warriors, they're apt to fold. I feel like that way, but exponentially more for the Rockets.
I don't think the Warriors are going to fold, especially not.
No. I don't mean against the Rockets.
I don't see against anybody. The only way that you can make the Warriors fold is if Boogie is not playing, and then you do something like what Giannis does, which is constantly attack the basket.
Yeah,
get everybody in foul trouble.
This is my point. The point is that they're going to give you an opportunity to beat them because they're cute with the basketball and because they shoot, regardless of the scenario, they're going to keep shooting threes.
Yeah.
And that actually gives you a chance to win. Now you need to play defense.
But that's
I agree.
And it's style of play.
And it's been super successful
because everybody's bought into it. And
that's it.
And in the gameplay, you're saying that I'm going to out-3 them. I'm going to show them. I'm going to out-3.
And that's what the Warriors. That's what they want you to do. That's what Houston's trying to do. I got the Warriors. I wouldn't be surprised if the Warriors take the next 2.
Just cakewalk them.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, even though now the Rockets are starting to believe, it's very possible that Chris Paul's hammy is starting to tighten up. It's about that time. Yeah, I saw it. It's about that time, and we'll see what happens tonight. I'm very interested to see what happens tonight, but I got the Warriors tonight. And, Harden is doing what Harden does.
If Denver makes it, Denver could beat them.
I think Denver can beat either one of them. But the Rockets could beat the Warriors, in my opinion, if they use the big men that they have. They're more effective when they use Capella and Nene.
Yeah, but Nene can only take minimal minutes, and Capella is a light big man. You know what I'm saying? He's fast and dash, and you're not going to beat the. I have a hard time believing that the Rockets can beat the Warriors at being the Warriors.
I have a hard time believing it too, and one of those reasons is because they have Mike D'Antoni as a coach. Another thing I want to ask you is a throwback: is Paul Pierce better than Dwayne Wade? We never really spoke about how that lit up.
Why would you speak about that? You know better than that.
It's a trip, too, because Paul Pierce was a monster.
He was not a monster. He was good. Dwayne Wade was a monster.
Dwayne Wade's one of the best ever.
Yes.
Paul Pierce is one of the best ever.
No, Paul Pierce is not one of the best ever.
I just think you don't like the fact that he was never ripped up. Dwayne Wade looks the part.
Yeah. And
Paul Pierce didn't look the part.
Yeah, but not only that, we're talking about rings and domination.
What are you talking about? Look who Dwayne Wade played with.
That's not Dwayne Wade's fault.
I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying that it is.
Boy played with Kevin.
AD and Ray Allen.
Yeah. Come on, man.
Against Shaq and Kobe, though.
Yeah.
But not against Shaq and Kobe. I'm lying. Against Kobe and Pau Gasol.
And guess who ran through him? LeBron James by himself.
LeBron James ran through them.
Literally.
LeBron had enough.
He had enough.
And then LeBron went down there and played and decided that he needed 2 rings down there.
Yeah.
He got 2 down there? He got 1 down there.
I think he got 2. But the thing
lost the first one, then he got 2, right?
But the thing of it, it's not a knock on Paul Pierce. He's just not as good as Dwayne Wade. And they both played different positions. And
no, they didn't.
They're both shooting guards. I thought Paul was a 3. Why ain't? Why not?
Yeah. It's real.
Well, if you ask me if I had to pick between
Paul Pierce, I'll tell you, I'll put it like this.
I would take Dwayne Wade. If we had a draft right now, the fantasy draft, I'd say, hey,
prime Wade.
and they're both standing next to each other. Like,
now, I'll say this, Dwayne Wade played better defense. Yeah, that's what I will say.
There you go.
But Paul Pierce, and now this isn't, I'm not saying he's more clutch than Dwayne Wade, but Paul Pierce was clutch.
Yeah.
He's a big-time ball player.
Yeah.
And I
like his jumper.
That.
I mean,
to the rack too. But he gave you nice posts. He would sit smaller guards down on the post.
Well,
but I've watched Dwayne Wade myself several times bail out LeBron James. I saw him. You know what I think that I lean towards Dwayne Wade.
I'm gonna tell you why. Maybe it's the same reason.
Is because Dwayne Wade had Shaquille O'Neal, and he knew exactly how to play with Shaquille O'Neal to allow himself to become the greatest that he could be off of Shaquille O'Neal.
Right. Now, I think that Dwayne Wade's AI is higher than Paul Pierce. Not that Paul Pierce's AI was low, but I just think
Paul Pierce is. I mean, him and Kobe really went at it. I need to go watch that series again.
And then also what Dwayne Wade does for me, which I really appreciate, especially thinking about the NBA now, is that he never really relied definitely on the
jumper.
No, on the three ball. He shot the jumper.
He didn't. But I'm saying he didn't rely. I know exactly.
He didn't live at the 3-point line. He's like
the same thing you're saying.
Yeah. I'm to the rack. I'm to the rack. Or I'll get to the elbow.
And the other thing,
hit you, wet you up. Come on,
but Paul Pierce is wet at the elbow.
Yeah.
You know what Dwayne Wade? 2 ways that he totally has him. He's a better defender, and Dwayne Wade plays above the rim.
Yes.
Like, way above the rim.
Yeah.
He had those kind of hops. That's like that new generation hop where you're like, ooh.
I think that he had a little bit more killer instinct, too, than Paul Pierce.
You think?
Yeah.
Ooh. You know.
Or you can.
Paul Pierce played with Antoine Walker for a while, so that was hard on him.
Twan.
I think Twan might have snatched some prime years from him.
Back to that surf and turf, that prime rib.
That surf and turf. It's over. We're going to wrap up the podcast soon, folks. We got to go get some surf and turf. Jeez Louise, what's going on here? So now let's talk about baseball. Let's talk about baseball. Let's talk about freaking Hunter Renfroe. Let's talk about what's going on in the world of baseball, T. What do you got? What do you like? Talk about that sleeper cell that you just laid on me that's coming back that people seem like they're not picking up in their fantasy league.
Matt Olson.
Yes.
Yeah, big-time Matt Olson. Matt Olson is probably primed to hit about 30 bombs. He's going to probably hit you 30 bombs, probably bat about 260, and it's enough to get you over the hump. It's a lot of guys like him who are just laying around. Look at Lance McCullers that eventually is going to come back if you're in the keeper league for next year. You know what I'm saying? So there's a bunch of injured, well, not a bunch, but there's a handful of injured guys out there that are slowly but surely coming back. You got Ohtani, you got Matt Olson, and
Ohtani,
and these guys are that can take you over the hump. You know, it's hard to get good first basemen nowadays. It's like that era of certain first basemen that are dying out, like Hosmer. He was great, but now he's just good. And then you have the new guys coming in like Pete Alonso, who's not quite there yet. But
but he's effective.
Then you got Hunter Dozier right now that's in Kansas City that's putting up crazy number. I think he leads the American League in batting average. But, you know, there's a lot of...
It's nice to see these young guys that are projected to perform come up and perform.
Yeah, and it's hard. Because look at Vladimir Guerrero Jr.
Let's speak on it.
Yeah, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is batting, I think, $168. He was down in the minor leagues almost hitting 400.
I think he was hitting 403.
Yeah, and he comes to the show...
And gets carved.
And he's getting carved. And
he gets carved.
Shows you how... the difference the levels are and how he leads. I think that this
Major League Baseball has the biggest jump out of any sport. I would say this is the elite of the elite.
Exactly, and I think this is where it comes down to where speed pays off in a different kind of way. Because if he came up and he was a fast guy, he can maybe compensate when he's not actually hitting the ball over the fence. He can get a couple of infield hits to get him over the hump, so he can get acclimated, get comfortable. And it's hard when you're talking about a city that's completely, an organization completely depending on him to carry them over the hump.
Right.
And he's just a kid. Well, how old is he? 20 years old?
Young guy.
Yeah. He's going to pan out. That's without question. But just right now, he's just struggling a little bit.
And speaking of that first baseman role, you know who's locked in again after having a very suspect sophomore season?
Who?
Josh Bell.
Oh, yeah.
Josh Bell, he just hit a ball out of
472 feet.
Yeah.
472 feet.
He's hitting the ball. He's getting the ball out of there.
Yeah.
And Hunter Renfroe just hit another bomb right now, by the way.
Did he?
Another clutch bomb.
But was he in your lineup?
Go ahead, long ball. No, he's on the bench. I can't trust Hunter.
And nor can the coach. So
that's why he keeps getting pinch hit bombs.
Exactly, because I don't know when to put Hunter in. Hunter is not consistent. You know that if you put him in there actually to play every day, he'll probably strike out almost 300 times.
Yeah.
And he'll get you 30 bombs, but he's going to strike out 300 times. So you have to,
Life is give and take.
Yeah.
But let's not let the game pass us by without shouting out something super special that you don't see all that often, which is the 300th no-hitter in the history of Major League Baseball, thrown last night by Mr. Mike Fiers. Friars?
Fires.
Yeah, how about that?
Fires Tuck. Yeah, no, he's... You know, when he was young, he was nice. He reminds me a lot, which he came from the same team as Freddie Peralta, in a sense where they throw a bunch of high fastballs and everything.
How can you be mad at high cheese?
Yeah, and the thing of it is that since everybody's trying to go yard, the high fastball is actually the kryptonite to going yard, because you're trying to get a launch angle, and this guy is throwing the ball above the launch angle,
right?
And which equals strikeouts. And then if he throws anything off speed, you're going to beat it into the ground and kill some worms.
Now, all that being said, are the Milwaukee Brewers for real?
They're real. They're real. I mean, they're real just because. I agree. But with their bullpen, the bullpen's nice. They just need to go, and they're a team that needs Dallas Keuchel.
Why wouldn't they sign Dallas Keuchel? They went and signed Gio, right? They re-signed Gio.
Yes.
Gonzalez. But why not get Keuchel?
Keuchel is better than Gio.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Gio.
Yeah, no disrespect to anybody, but Keuchel at this point in his career is better than Gio. Now, if you bring in a Dallas Keuchel type player, especially since your rotation's hurting, I think Chase Anderson just went on IL, right?
Yep.
And you're talking about they're trying to depend on that kid Corbin Burns. He's not ready yet. Jimmy Nelson, you don't know when he's coming back. So get us Dallas Keuchel.
Go fool with you with Dallas Keuchel.
I would actually fool with Craig Kimbrell too. I'm over the top now.
It's over the top.
It's over the top. I have Hader, Jeffries, and Kimbrell. And then you
can't score after 6.
Yes.
After 5, maybe.
Yeah, and you take the pressure off of Jeffries, who has a problem with shutting down.
He's not exactly. Wow.
You have Yelich that's completely dominating. Ryan Braun is waking up. You got the other kid over there, the first baseman that's waking up. What's the kid's name? Aguilar.
Jesus Aguilar.
Yeah.
You know, I like, even though they're not by any means in contention, I like the way that the Miami Marlins are playing lately. I like what Don's doing down there. They're making games competitive, even though, and they sneak out a win here and there that you don't expect them to sneak out.
Well, they have a kid down there in the minor leagues that they're talking about bringing up, a pitcher, and if they bring him up, he's going to be like somebody who maybe can kickstart their organization. I think his ERA is not even 1 in AAA. It's something crazy. Zach Gallen. And if they bring him up, then, you know, sometimes a team like that just needs somebody to give them confidence that they can win.
Right.
You know, so when you go out there, you know, when you play, if you're playing and you know you have a specific pitcher on the bump, you automatically feel like you should win. And I think this kid might bring that to them because they swing the stick a little bit. I think the defense is a little sloppy.
And now, speaking of that young way of people getting confidence, you see it with the Padres, but they're talking about now curbing Paddock's time. You think they're going to do that with Lucchesi? What do you think this Right.
He's not supposed to throw. I do believe he's supposed to throw between 150 and 180 innings. And I think that he's at 60 or 80 already, something like that. And so in that, they're going to play with his innings because he just came off of Tommy John surgery about a year ago, and they don't want to overload him. But he's actually a stud. He's one of the best pitchers in baseball right now. This is his first season. He's completely dominant. I think his ERA, what is it, 135 or something like that?
Yeah, he's dominant. All right. Well, one quick tip, news and notes. They got the tennis tournament going down in Madrid right now. And a little bit ago, Rafael Nadal lost on clay.
Really?
Twice. And it could be a changing of the guard. We got to keep an eye on it. I'm hoping to get out to Roland Garros myself. It depends on my shooting schedule. But we will find out. In the interim, folks, I'm going to leave you with a quote from the Governator, actually, from Arnold Schwarzenegger, which says, "Strength does not come from winning. Your struggles develop your strengths. When you go through hardships and decide not to surrender, that is strength." Fresh from Arnold Schwarzenegger to Koreatown to your town. We're on this thing together, folks. Please take care of one another. There's a lot of violence and dissension in the world, and we need to be all we can be with one another. I'm your host, Omar Miller, and this is the Ozone.
Ozone.
I'm just living the dream. I'm in love with the lights. This is not just a game. This here is my life. Put the cameras on me, yeah, yeah. Put the cameras on me, yeah, yeah. Put the cameras on me, yeah, yeah. Put the cameras on me, yeah.